Hi there, I'm Sydney Brown. I am the memoir mastermind, and today we're going to talk about anthology books and why you might want to participate in one. So first we're going to start talking about what it is, and then we're going to go over the 10 benefits of participating, and then we're going to go over 10 tips for participating. Now, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you would, to keep all of this content free, I would appreciate it if you would like the videos, comment in the videos, tell me what you liked about them, what you might want to see in other videos, and I will do my best to keep this all free content for you. All right, here we go. All right, Sydney Brown back again. So let's talk about an anthology, what it is and why. So the anthology is typically a collection of works. It usually has stories, essays, poems, different things like that. It can be in many different formats, and it usually is a compilation from multiple authors, and it's often done as a business where other people actually pay to participate in that anthology. In this video, we're going to talk about, why would you want to participate in an anthology and how it can contribute in your writing journey. So let's go ahead and dive right in. We're going to start talking about the top 10 benefits to participating. Number one, plain and simple, the exposure that it brings. Being part of an anthology can actually introduce you to new readers, and by expanding your network, it helps you get that visibility that you may not have access to otherwise. Number two, networking. Now, collaborating with other authors, you gain your visibility, obviously, but it also leads to new valuable connections, because when you're working with this person on this book, this person on this book, they might introduce you to other people that, the future opportunities. There is so much networking and potential that surrounds anthology books. Number three, and this is a really big one, experience. Now, if the first two don't hold value to you, then this one should, because just the experience that you gain by knowing, here's what's expected of you, here's your word count, here's your theme, and you know your parameters, your expectations, and then you do your best writing and fall within that. It's just a really great way to get experience and to get published. So number four, creative challenge. When you write a piece for an anthology, it can kind of push you in, to explore new ideas, new styles, genres, things that are outside of your typical comfort zone. I've done gratitude anthologies. I've done funny anthologies, where I'm not usually telling funny stories, but it was kind of fun to create something that was a little bit outside of my comfort zone. So it's a good way to stretch yourself. Number five, collaboration. When you work with other authors and you have this shared theme or concept, it creates a team, and you foster a sense of community, and that teamwork really does build relationships. So even if it's for no other reason than you make new friends, it's a great reason to do it. Number six, and this is why a lot of coaches and business owners will do it, is the credibility. That's actually called a credibility piece. So when you have your work published, that's something that no one else, in those circles may have done. That's something that gives you that extra little thing. It's not necessarily, like putting the word doctor after your name, but it gives you credibility as an expert in that realm, because at the very least, you've done additional research and you can write on it. So the credibility really does bolster the perception and your confidence. Number 7, deadlines. You may be like, I don't know if that's a benefit, but when you work with deadlines on anthology projects, it really helps you to stay motivated, to keep pushing forward, to keep your focus on your goal. And when you do that, it obviously you're getting practice writing, but it also kind of builds you as a person overall. So by doing, something with a deadline, you've made an obligation or a commitment, and it's helping you become a better structured person. Number 8, smaller commitment. And this is why a lot of people start with anthologies. When you're writing a short piece, because it's an anthology, you and 20 others or however many are writing this book or this project together. It's less daunting than tackling a whole book, even if it's a short story. Short stories are tough to do alone. And then, a novel, obviously, as your first battle, that's really something that is intimidating and overwhelming for a lot of people. So if you start with the smaller commitments, it really is something that you're like, I can do this. I can totally do this. So if you're a new or just busy writer, then obviously an anthology is a great option. Number 9, feedback. When you're collaborating with other people on a project, like in this, you have other people who can provide constructive criticism or constructive feedback on your work. By listening to them without taking offense, you're able to improve your own growth as a writer. And then number 10, and this is not always the case, but sometimes financial benefits. Now, usually, and not always, obviously, but you may be able to buy copies of the book that you participated in bulk, and then you're able then to sell those paperbacks to, at pop-up books or on your own websites or whatever it is you choose to do. Now, always ask that question before you make that assumption, but typically it is something that you can do. You want to make sure that you ask the questions, how much is this going to retail for? Are we going to be able to sell these ourselves? What price is it going to cost us for our copies? Ask those questions, but those are the top 10. And I really think, and I am a huge fan of anthology projects. So let's move on to the next section, but I think you're going to like doing an anthology. All right, Sydney Brown back again. We're going to talk now about the top 10 tips for participating in an anthology book. So we know that it's beneficial. We understand why we would want to do it, but let's figure out now how we do it well. All right, so number 1, obviously, first and foremost, make sure you know what your topic is. Do your research. Look for anthology projects that align with your interests, your values, your writing styles. Make sure that it's something that means something on some level. It doesn't have to mean a lot, but something on some level to you. Number 2, follow guidelines. So you want to carefully read and adhere to all of the submission guidelines for each anthology project. Understand that you are one of many who is participating in this. So the person who is organizing the anthology project, they need to make sure that they have a set of rules and that everybody follows them, because you can't make exceptions when you're dealing with that many authors. So make sure that you follow your guidelines, you understand them, and you ask questions if you have any. Number 3, write a compelling piece. I think that that's kind of obvious, but at the same time, sometimes people give this less value and they may just throw something out and then send it over. But understand, this is something in a book with a lot of people, and you want to make sure that the story you've told is, it's a good fit with the others, and that it has value. And because it is potentially one of the first times someone will hear your name. and they will look you up based off of, how good and how well you wrote it. Just make sure that you craft a well-written, it's engaging, that you've polished it, it's because they don't usually have additional editing afterwards. You are self-editing a lot of the times. Just make sure that you've presented yourself well. Number 4, edit and proofread. Make sure that, when you're going through this, use, Grammarly Pro, use your word grammar check. Make sure that you have read it, listened to it, and that you have proofed it the best of your ability. Number 5, network with other contributors. Now, this is one of the biggest reasons to do an anthology, because you're networking, you're getting to meet other people in that same interest that you're doing your anthology in. So if it's about cancer survivors, you all have this journey in common, and it's important that you learn from each other and you get to know each other, you network, and you build those relationships. Number 6, if there's a deadline, and there should be, meet the deadlines. Submit your work on time, be responsive to any request from the organization. There's going to be probably a bio that you'll need to write. You'll need to have your professional headshots potentially for your marketing, and obviously your piece that you're writing. So there's going to be various deadlines. Make sure you treat this with respect and that you meet your deadlines. Number 7, promote the anthology. So you cannot just expect to throw something in there and then have someone else do all the promotion, because, and then, somehow or another, you probably have this dream of becoming a best-selling author and making a lot of money. Now, that's a normal and a natural dream, but make sure you're giving the same energy to the project as you expect others to do for you. So you want to promote the anthology, help spread the word about what the anthology is, what the story is. Don't give away too much of it, but share it on your social media, write, blog posts about it, participate if there are, group interviews or book pop-ups, things like that. Make sure that you're doing your part to promote the success. Number 8, learn from feedback. This is one of the things, and I do say this a lot, but be open to the feedback that the editors and other contributors provide. Make sure that you don't let your thin skin take the lead on this. Sometimes it hurts, especially if what you wrote is an authentic or an emotional, reflective piece where you let your walls down. Sometimes we write in our pain, and we need to write from our scars, not our wounds. And I hope that makes sense. But if you're still in pain, then you want to write through it until you're not in pain about it anymore. And you give the contribution that you give is written from the scars, where you've healed enough that you're not putting toxins and poison out into the world. You're able to write in a way that is helpful and not spewing. So sometimes people will give some feedback and say, can you try to soften that language down a little bit? Can you not be so playing the victim? And sometimes people don't know how to give feedback in a constructive way. And they may sting when they're trying to help, but they don't do very well with the feedback. So it's important that they do better, and you also learn to, not just be hurt, because you don't want to be hurt by it, but that you hear what they're saying or what they're trying to say, and then have that conversation. Say, well, are you saying that maybe I accused them of this too much, and just have that conversation back and forth until you understand what the feedback is and understand that it's given with a heart of helpfulness. Feedback doesn't always feel like helpfulness, but it almost always is. So just know that it's usually a helpful intention. Now, number 9, stay organized. And this seems really simple, but it can be, because if this project takes this much time in your whole big picture, you may not prioritize this as something really, really important. So you may forget and let this kind of hit the back burner. You don't want to do that. You want to keep track of your progress, of your commitment, and to make sure that you stay on track and that you're communicating with the coordinator and that you stay organized. And then number 10, continue to submit. So sometimes if you've paid for your entry, you're automatically entered. But sometimes you have to submit and be chosen to be one of the people in a book. So if it's a submission type book, don't give up if you're not chosen, because there is limited space. And if it's a situation where you didn't pay to get in, then they are going to be more selective because they're footing all of the bill in doing this. So keep honing your craft, keep getting better, and keep submitting your work to them again or others. Just keep going. So there you have it, guys, the benefits and the tips of participating in an anthology book. Now, contributing to an anthology can be very rewarding, and it's an enriching experience. I've enjoyed doing it a lot. I have my own anthologies that if you're interested at all, feel free to reach out to me and I'll let you know what the next one is coming up. But it really does help a person enter into the realm of becoming a published author. It gives you the experience in a non-overwhelming atmosphere with good energy, and it usually is a really great experience. All right, guys, so if you haven't yet, please subscribe, like the videos, and definitely comment. Let me know that you've subscribed, and I will come down and kind of chat in there with you and stuff. If you're interested in anything else, we do have entire free courses, hours and hours and hours of free training. I will see you soon, and keep on writing.